friends, welcome to another episode of Conversations with a Love Activist. Now this week I'll be sharing with you my very first womb mapping session with Gogo Sophia. Now in the womb mapping process we deal with the 4 quadrants of the womb, and this week we'll be dealing with the ceiling of the womb where we experience our first separation from our mother, and that's a lot of resentment and a lot of abandonment issues sit in the ceiling of the womb. A lot of stuff came up for me. I thought I had dealt with mother wounds, but clearly not. And also, surprisingly, I also have mother wounds from past lives that I was carrying in my womb space. So stay tuned because a lot of beautiful, amazing gems come up in the session. And also stay tuned to the very end because I sum up the golden gems and the golden honey that I received in this session.
To baptize your womb, to anchor your womb space, to really hold and anchor your consciousness in your womb space. And you can anoint your hands, the insides of your hands. It's all about your gifts, what you're receiving, what you're giving. Connecting with those parts within yourself. And this is a way to connect with your body, to connect with all of these faculties and these energy centers within the body that are active during the healing process. And it's also a way to pray and to connect with yourself. It also serves as protection. Okay, so these energy centers become open, and these energy centers, you are connecting with spirit, you're connecting with the divine, and you want to purify, you want to cleanse these energy centers and invite the light of the Magdalene into your body. And that's why we anoint these spaces. You're going to call your higher self into your body, your I am presence, and fully asking your higher self to support you today, to increase your capacity to release what no longer serves you so that you can access the divine gifts of the floor of your womb, of the earth element. How was it to connect to your womb space? I don't know how frequently you do that, how frequently you tune in, but when you did tune in, was it easy to connect and to feel all the sensations?
It wasn't.
Or was it challenging?
It took a bit of warming up for me then to start to feel, okay, there's a ting there, there's a sensation there, but it did take some time to actually feel into it. Yeah, and then I had a bit of a strange, towards the end, I saw a small young white girl on a couch and almost like she's trying to leave her imprint in the couch type thing. And someone saying, no, those couches are, they're like cream white couches. Like, no, don't leave your imprint. And she's insisting that, no, it must be seen that I was here. I don't know what that was about.
Okay, so yeah, your womb space, the womb absorbs a lot of energy. There are a lot of memories. There are a lot of belief systems. Okay, and sometimes, if you believe in past lives, a lot of things from the past life can also show up.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we tune in, the more, we bring into the surface what is sitting there. Okay, what is alive in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tune in, the space becomes alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all the emotions that we disconnect from, all the things that we've avoided, it becomes alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's a tendency, so the first week, there is a tendency of feeling slightly uncomfortable because there's just this living space that is awakening with you, that has a voice and that has been sometimes ignored, okay, sometimes suppressed and ready. So I really invite you in these next few weeks to really journal.
I'm getting emotional when you're talking about it has a voice. I don't know why that's making me so emotional.
It has a voice. And just breathe into that. What that means for you. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. When we tune in, we really start to feel what is wanting to be released, what is wanting to be expressed. It's being held there for such a long time. So that was very powerful for you to kind of, deep presencing into, that emotion. Okay, and when we begin to journal, we really get to understand the narrative, the story. And so we're going to work now with the floor of your room space. And this is absolutely the foundation. Okay? It is our connection to the earth. When we are born, we descend into that space. Okay, and a lot of resentment and a lot of fears around being abandoned can really come up. Yeah, it's about abandonment. It's about separation. It's about separation from source, okay, and the anger that we feel towards our mother, okay, from being separate. Now, I have to be a separate entity from my mother, from God, the goddess, okay? And it's really about being able to open up and realize that there is no separation, okay? That you were born into a bigger womb, so into a bigger universe that is essentially the same universe, but just a bigger aspect of it. So it's about those primary years of your life. Okay, the foundation, how you were treated, how you were nurtured, how you were cared for. Did you feel safe? I want us to go in there and do an inquiry with that space to see what stories are sitting there. Okay? And once we have the story, we can really delve into the healing and listen to that oracular voice of the room, to the intelligence. How safe? Ask that space, how safe do I feel in my body? What do the words patience, stillness, and slowing down, what do those words mean to me? How is that making that inquiry with the oracular voice of your room space? How is that making that inquiry with the oracular voice of your room space?
There's this pain that keeps coming and going that's over here, that I can feel it in the distance. And it's been more pronounced in the past 2 weeks. Just, it'll be, I'm here, it's like a line, and then I see you, I recognize you, I release you, I'm having to do that more frequently than I usually. And it's strange because I'm feeling very happy. I'm feeling very good. A lot of good things are happening around me. So this pain is confusing. So there was a bit of confusion, I think, and a bit of a lack of clarity. There wasn't a clear, authoritative voice, I would say.
Also track if there's anything that is coming up for healing with regards to floor of your womb. Is there another emotional state that we need to clear? So I'm just going to track what else that needs to be, what are the underlying emotions, imprints that are sitting there that maybe you're unaware of. Okay, that's interesting. So I'm tracking what is really coming up is this feeling of abandonment. Okay. At the age of 2. Okay, so there was something that happened to you between you and your mother. Okay, at the age of 2 where you felt abandoned. Does it make sense? Does it resonate?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. And this is actually something I only found out quite recently, that my mom was with me for 2 years. She was a lecturer at the time, and there was a strike happening. So for a good 18 months, we were together. Like she was at home. And then suddenly she was back at work, and then she started a business. And then I from seeing her being together every day to her basically being ripped away from me, is how that made sense. That why did I no longer feel safe with my mom? That is just in my adult age, it just didn't make sense. And it's when she told me that story that we were together for 2 years straight, and then she started working, and then she would be traveling for business, and then I wouldn't see her, and I went back to not being potty trained, and then she was doing her articles, and it just became a busy time. I suppose my 2-year-old self said, "Oh, my heart is not safe with you, because at any moment you could just go." And so, okay.
There's just this pattern of the fear of abandonment. And it's not just about you and your mom. It also feeds into you and your relationships. Okay. And it becomes a pattern. Okay. You're being abandoned. It's like, if it's like going into business or going into something really big, when we're ready to make that big leap in our lives, and we're afraid to be abandoned by the support system and the resources. Okay. So does that resonate with you?
So we just won a big contract, and it's been so ease-filled that I'm just like, at any moment the carpet is going to be ripped up from under us.
Yeah.
It can't be this easy. They can't just keep saying yes to all our ideas and this is the budget, and they don't question it. Something's got to happen. Something's got to give.
Right, and that becomes a self-saboteur. Right? The way it's, we come into resonance with our frequency and that vibration, and sometimes things don't flow, and you're just like, okay, why is just this why is it suddenly here? And then suddenly it's, because if you're not convinced, okay, but then if you continue to have that fear, okay, the energy has to flow through you. It's your creation energy. We're going to work with that fear. Okay, we're going to clear it from that space so that you can open up. Okay, so that you can stop bailing out on yourself. Okay, so because it's not about other people. It's not about what other people do or how they show up, but it's ultimately about how we show up for ourselves and how committed we are and invested in our own journey and in our own process. And it's not about just physically doing, but it's about being. It's like, fully invested. I'm here. Okay, I'm provided for. I'm being supported. And I give my big yes. Okay. Let's work with that.
Because it's what I've been avoiding for 10 years in business. I've been avoiding a big contract because if we get this big contract and it gets pulled away, in my mind, the devastation is way more than I'm used to living with less. I'm used to living with small contracts. I'm used to not being seen. And now with this, we'll be seen globally. It's quite a big deal. And if it fails on a global level,
So are you ready to let go of this? Are you ready to let go of the story?
Yes. Yes.
Calling in your higher self to support you to release this negative fear of abandonment. Just connecting to the time that you were 2 years old. And you felt that fear. I want you to connect to your inner child, and I want you to say to your inner child that I am ready to become a responsible parent to you. Because the separation is not, you are your own inner mother. And it is time for you to connect with your inner God source light. That is the mother. That is the divine mother. I'm going to invite you now to call your mother into your space. You're calling in your mom as that 2-year-old self. And I want you to make eye contact with her. And I want you to ask her to support you to release this fear of abandonment from the time that you were 2 years old. That you're ready to let it go now, and you're ready to forgive her. You are 100% ready now to forgive her for that. Okay. And that you fully understand the context under which it happened from a higher perspective. And that you could only do the best that you could with what you had. But in order to be reborn, you have to die to the old fears, old belief systems. So that is ready to die and be reborn to a new reality, a new life.
That was interesting because the mother that came up, I'm now connecting it to that little white girl on the couch because a brunette woman came up as my mother and came up to hold me. Not the mother I have now.
Now, with the message of Khadija is that we often believe that we need to be mothered by our mothers, but there is your own inner mother, okay? And that divine connection to the cosmic mother. Okay? You are already mothered.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we do have our physical mother that is the one that is our guardian, that, you know, supports us materially, that, supports us in our life and how to navigate this reality. But we also, from that experience, we also learn to connect to the cosmic mother and our own inner mother, that we are well nourished and we are well resourced from within. And this message comes from Khadija. And she is the mother of believers. And her message is that I am spiritually and financially abundant. I provide heaven and earth for myself. Okay, those are the new key codes that are coming in for you. There's an ancient narrative and a destructive misunderstanding that if we are going to be spiritual, then we have to renounce the material world. The body, however, is the soul's chance to be here. So a healthy relationship to the material world is crucial and integral to reaching our spiritual potential. Khadija represents the power and the importance of knowing we can provide for ourselves. This power gives us roots and confidence and allows us to create relationships from a place of interdependence rather than codependence. We can cultivate the capacity we have to create more and more freedom for ourselves. And we can make choices for our own life based on truth, not just on survival. There's also a false idea about when true love will find us and how. Khadija liberates us from fairy tales that we need to be saved or supported or provided for by our life partner. Khadija provided for the Prophet, and her older age and significant status as of community made her more attractive, not less. She was a middle-aged businesswoman and a single mom. She was ripe with resources and ripened with opportunities to love. Living into our true power and purpose does not make us less eligible. Khadija reminds us that there is no linear timetable that eliminates us from having the sun descended in our courtyard. She lets us remember that we are worthy of the abundance measured in gold and the abundance measured in the depth of love.
I was given an armful of gifts. And I was asked, are you willing to accept these gifts? Are you willing to be the intersection between heaven and earth, the medium, the communication point between us. And literally like an armful, like, are you ready? Do you have the arm strength to carry all of these things? And I said, yes, I am. And thank you.